Alrighty, Chris. It's Saturday, the 9th of April. My granddaughter, my oldest grandchild's birthday today. She's got my two great grandkids. So I'm going to do a lesson on D major. I was just noodling a little bit because once in a while when the pain eases up on this, I try to play a little bit. I'm down cellar now. And I got a lot of dirt on it because I'm going to have it on low volume, and it gives me sustain at a low volume. I also have a clean sound for when I do, you know, my... D major today, which is really, when I play to blues or a blues track, I actually play the scale out of the key. If it was an A blues with the 7 chord, I play out of the D major scale blocks. It's like harmonica to play the blues correctly if you're using more than a pentatonic. With pentatonic, you don't need that mentality. And then when it goes to the, say if it was an A blues, then to the D7, I'd stay in A all through, obviously even that D7, but I'd be playing out of the G key, the 4 chord of a D chord, because I'd be using A Dorian on that D chord. Killer to that chord, you know. And then on the A chord, on the A7, I'd be using Mixolydian, which is out of D. So it's all, you know, it's not pentatonic, any of it. It's got that major third, or it's got that major 6 in it. Kind of A Dorian onto this D7 chord. But anyways, I was thinking of Get By With a Little Help From My Friends came to my mind. I'm not trying to play the song at all, but I was just goofing earlier. Just goofing with homemade shit, you know. That Mixolydian scale, that's my favorite scale, you know, because I love that feeling it has. So out of D major, and I've already been over this before, where I started with an E Dorian, you know. That's out of D major, the second block of D major. See how cool that would sound to that A chord? Out of the E Dorian block, but I'm playing to the chords that are being played. But knowing I'm going to use all the scale blocks of D major all the time through these chord progressions, E Dorian block is one of those scale blocks. Now, you know, it's funny because, you know, I say E Dorian. Well, it's only E Dorian if I go E to E. Or this way. So what I think of here, when I do E Dorian is I'll go anywhere on the scale, on the fretboard where there's an E note, but I'll think D major. If I start here, I want E Dorian flavor, then I just kind of go E to E, but I can pass it and come back to it or whatever. But I'm thinking thinking D major when I play to anything that's got an E Dorian flavor. So, but now we're talking about flavoring A mixolydian, which is also in all these blocks. And you've got F sharp Phrygian. The F sharp Phrygian flavor. So I'm going to use all the blocks of D major to this. B natural minor is one of them. But I'm going to play to A and G and D. So if it's on the A, I'll harmonize to the A from there. I won't play an A note necessarily, though I might. But I usually like to harmonize out of the scale blocks of whatever the chord is being played at the moment. So knowing I'm going to use all the D major scale. That C sharp note sounds killer to that A, you know. Hey, can I call you back? I'm in the middle of doing a video lesson for someone. 10 minutes and I'll call you back.
I'm gonna stop by. Bye.
All right. Okay, so I can go into the B major. It goes to the G. I'll just use notes out of that same block that harmonize to the G. Knowing your third of G harmonizes that B note. So I could, if I want to play out of that B minor block to this. B minor thing, or I could play there to that 3 chords for a while, then I can go to one of the other blocks to either use some higher notes or some lower notes and do a little bit something different. But understanding what harmonizes to your A out of D major is your A. You could use your A, of course you could. So what you do when you play these blocks, what I used to do is listen to what's in them, okay? So say I get the B minor, say I get these blocks kind of down. I'm still fumbling a little bit with them, E Dorian, F sharp Phrygian, G Lydian, A mixolydian, then B natural minor. So we'll just use B natural minor as an example. So say I get it down, you know, when you're early stages, you're kind of fumbling with them a little, and you go back and play what you have fun with, and then when you decide to work on these blocks, you go back to them, but I used to sit with them. But what I used to do, like say if I started on the B minor, I would find all my B notes, right? Even though I didn't have it down totally yet, I would, you know, I would go from B to B everywhere it is. And it's interesting, in this position, it's a lot of open. Or here. I would learn everywhere it is, that one thing. Off of it this way, you know, and then here. But then, you know, you also, everywhere there's a B. everywhere it is has got a different shape to it than the original position, you know what I mean? It's not always this same shape. It kind of is if you go from here this way. That's the same shape, but this ain't. What? You know, and the same thing here. You could go, but you could also go this way. That's what I used to do when I was working on them as I went along, is I'd take that one thing one day, but I learned that B everywhere. But anyways, back to this. So your B, all your blocks of D major to these chords. So, you know, I go into any one of the blocks I want, say D major when it's on the A. Because I could play out of the D major block, and the harmony note is either the C sharp minor, or I could use the A itself, or I could use the E note. Those are right off the bat perfect harmonies for that A chord. But you could also use, you know, all that'll fit the whole scale. Alright, but then when it's going to that other chord, you want to have worked out some things that you can go to for that. And then I'd stay right there, maybe for one of the, you know, bars, 12 bars or whatever. And then it goes to the G, I'd stay right there. This is a G bar chord right here. So I just arpeggiate a G bar chord, literally. It's going to go right to the D, so I could stay there too and do something. Usually I do. I'll stay in one spot and do a whole riff to those three chords, and when it comes around again, I'll go to another block and do something different, you know? But I'm always staying in D major for them three chords. To go to the D note, I'm just constantly harmonizing, and I'm not going to the root note for the root chord being played. I'm almost never doing that. I do occasionally if I want that feeling somewhere along in the track. Kind of thing. So just a quick lesson on those three chords. You know, it could be played in a gazillion different formats. You could be fast. Obviously, you don't have to think much about the G and the D there. You just want to stay in that Mixolydian flavor and stay, but you still want to go into the scale blocks of D major to get your riffs for that. That one note can kill something, you know? So that would, yeah. Just a quick lesson on an example of them chords, the A, G, D kind of thing. And of course, there's unlimited kind of grooves. You could play it on clean. My main point about it is get all your riffs out of the scale blocks of D major. But learn to play when you practice. When I used to practice the chords, I would loop chord progression into a looping machine and sit there. I knew mentally, all right, all the blocks out of D major, but I would practice and go to them and find riffs, specific riffs, and go, okay, that works, you know, and do that kind of thing in the B major block and the E Dorian block or any one of the D major blocks. And, you know, find shit that I like the sound of, and I put the time in to listen to what those blocks sound like. Because again, you play F-sharp Phrygian, which is that out of that riff you actually liked when you told me way back there, that guy did that cool riff. And the track was actually B minor, but B minor's from D major, F-sharp Phrygian's from D major, that's why. Right away when I heard it, I'm like, oh, I know what that is because I know what they sound like or where it's out of. But you can create your own cool riffs. You don't need anybody else's. Have a good weekend.